Hey guys, my name's Skippy, and I'm here to talk about faction focuses. We are starting the first in the series of faction focuses for 10th edition Warhammer 40k. I am so excited to start talking about armies and what they do. They've changed a lot about how these armies work as far as the rules go, but they still feel very similar to how they played before, where they have their flavor, they have their style, but they've made it a lot simpler to play and a lot of cool additions to the game. Let's talk about our first faction focus, which is gonna be Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, and they shall know no fear. They will bring the Emperor's judgment to the Xenos, to the heretic, and protect the Imperium from being besieged on all sides. Space Marines are going to play a lot like they did before, where they're going to use efficient units, tough units, and tactical prowess to deliver damage, take objectives, and just be the elite shock troops that they are meant to be. So let's start with what the Marines are doing now with their army abilities. What we already knew about was Oath of Moment, which was given to us a couple weeks ago when we were talking about army construction. And the basic idea is if your army is completely Adeptus Astartes, at the beginning of your command phase, you get to pick an enemy unit, and your entire army who has Oath of Moment, which is most everything in the book, I'm assuming, has full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound. I don't know if you know how tough a knight is, but knights even start to crumble when you get to reroll everything against them. It's very strong ability. I'm excited to see how this plays out in the game if it's not too strong. Rerolls were a problem at the beginning of 8th edition with Rabute Gilliman giving it to like a bunch of Storm Ravens and every other tank you could think of around him. Now they're giving it to everybody against a single unit. So hopefully that means they'll be really good against super tough targets, but against hordes, they'll have a little bit more trouble because they'll only be rerolling against one of those units. So that's the basic idea. So let's start with combat doctrines. This is the Adeptus Astartes Gladius Task Force Detachment Rules. So this is the one detachment rule that you get for your army running a Gladius Task Force. There are other detachments in the new book, but for now, this is the one we'll have out of the index. So the idea is at the beginning of your command step, you can pick a doctrine if you want. And if you pick the doctrine, the effect applies to all your Adeptus Astartes units until your next command phase. And the three combat doctrines are Devastator, Tactical, and Assault. The way it works is if you pick one of them, you get the bonus to all your army. So Devastator gives you Shoot and Advance, which is a super powerful ability. I love it. You're able to get angles on people. You're able to pop out of terrain, move really fast with all your heavy weapons, and still just wreck people with all those rerolls against the big units. So super fun. I love it. It's a great way to get into position, get on objectives, and just get general movement anywhere you need to go. Tactical Doctrine is a really good one too. This one lets you fall back and shoot and charge. As a White Scars player, I greatly appreciate this because being able to fall forward basically, shoot the unit that you were just engaged with, and then charge something behind them is very strong. I love it. It gives you a lot of free movement and it gives you a lot of flexibility to be able to open up a lot of lanes of fire and charging in your army. Now, the last one is the Assault Doctrine. Of course, it's my favorite because it's literally my old White Scars chapter tactic, which is you can advance and charge. So get the extra D6 movement, get stuck in, get tied up. Like now, previously you would go Devastator to Tactical to Assault. Now I can see you doing Devastator, move into position. Next turn, Assault Doctrine, get stuck in with people. And then after that, Tactical Doctrine, so you can get extra movement, fall forward toward the enemy, open up more lanes, and just get stuck in with more people. I really like it. I think there's going to be a lot of flexibility with this where you can make a super advancing charging army that assaults everything. All your assault stuff jumps up in jump packs, drops out of drop pods, assaults everything turn one. Then you can later go into Devastator Doctrine and get some lanes of fire with all your back units to shoot everything else that's kind of left over after your charging units have get stuck in. Or you can even just fall back and shoot and charge with all your units so you can open up more fire and get everything into position. I love how flexible this is, and I think it's going to be a great way to play Marines. I am very excited to play with this. Next up, we got some data sheets though. And that was super cool. So up in the right, I have the repulsor there, which is just a basic stat line. But they showed us the Land Raider, which has a lot of really cool things going on with it. It is T12 with a 2-up save, so super durable, very tough, very hard to bring down with 16 wounds, which feels good. It doesn't feel as good once I start getting into some of the weapons that they showed off in this one, because some of the anti-tank weapons are heavy hitters, my guys. So now the cool thing about the Land Raider is you can take any kind of unit you want, as long as it's infantry. You want to take some Terminators, you want to take some Gravis, you want to take some Centurions. It doesn't matter. They all fit in the Land Raider. I love it. And they have confirmed the assault ramp rule, which is every time a unit disembarks from this model after it moves, you can still charge. So move up your 10 inches with the Land Raider, move out 3, move up, 12 with jump pack guys. Why not? Let's be an assault doctrine so you can advance and charge, get an extra D6 out of it, and then let's charge things. You want to talk about some fast movement? That's some fast movement, my guys. Drop pod in all around the Land Raider and just go nuts. I love it. I'm super happy with it. Now, they've given us a new profile for the las cannon. Now, they've called it the Godhammer las cannon, which makes me think this is specifically for like vehicle las cannons. And then we will get other las cannons, like shoulder mounted ones that won't be as strong, but that's just me. We'll see what happens. When they give it a unique name, that usually means there's other variants out there. So Godhammer las cannon is 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 12, minus 3 AP, D6 plus 1 damage. So you're talking min 2, on average 4-5 wounds done to the enemy if it goes through. Feels really good. The 100 kilo missile is actually good. I know it's one shot, but look at that. It's actually not bad. Hits on a 2, feels really good for a one-shot weapon. Strength 14, minus 3 D6 damage. For however many points, classically it's been like 5 points for the 100 kilo missile. I like that it actually does something. The 100 kilo missile before felt very weak. Now it'll actually pot shot something to death. I can see using the 100 kilo missile to finish off a tank that's got like 3 or 4 wounds left on it and just get rid of it. You know what I mean? Now we get to see the multi-melta. So it has 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 9, minus 4, D6 damage at 18 inches. It also has the Melta 2 rule, which at half range gives you an extra 2 damage to the gun. Storm Bolter is just as it was before, and Twin Heavy Bolter is also still going to wreck with sustained hits and twin linked at strength 5, minus 1, 2 damage, and 3 shots. I am a fan. All these weapons seem great. And guess what? It actually has armor track melee weapons. It actually hits on 4, strength 8, AP, nothing, 1 damage. Like 6 attacks. It's going to run over for some mofos. You know what I mean? Next up, we got some weapons, guys. So they gave us a couple cool weapons in this preview that I really like. So the Heavy Laser Destroyer. That's on the top of the Repulsor Executioner. 72-inch range, so on a standard 2,000 point game, the table. 2 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 16, minus 4, D6 plus 4 damage. D6 plus 4. I hope you guys can deal and have some invulns on your tanks, because not much is going to be surviving that. Like, if with full rerolls, the likelihood of you getting 2 wounds through at minus 4, like, if you don't have a 2-up save like the Land Raider, they both go through. That's an average of 7 wounds per shot. So that's 14 wounds. That destroys a Rhino. That almost destroys the Land Raider if those wounds go through. Like that's a lot of damage real quick. And anti-tank is going to do its job of being anti-tank. Now, you can also shoot 2 Marines and just obliterate 2 Marines. But we also got to see the heavy onslaught Gatling cannon that comes on the Dreadnoughts. So this is also a very cool gun with devastating wounds, which is the 6s to wound, do mortal wounds. 12 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 6, AP 0, 1 damage. So against hordes, it's going to be very effective with buckets of dice, especially T3 infantry, like the new swarms, the gaunts and stuff like that. You're wounding on 2s, feels really good. And you're also doing mortal wounds. So if you get those 6s to wound, you're getting mortal wounds instead, and you're just peeling more guys off the table. Feels like a good gun. I like it a lot. So now we get to see some data sheets. This is the intercessor they revealed a few weeks ago in the data sheets article. So just showed you the stat line profile. So intercessor is pretty much the same as he was before. T4, 3-up save, 2 wounds, 6-up leadership, and a 6-inch move. So the Terminator, however, is a 5-inch move. He's in big plate armor, so he should be a little slower. T5, though, they moved the Terminator up to T5. That feels really good. So it's Gravis with a 2-up save, which feels amazing to play with. I'm so glad they're T5 now. They actually withstand bolter fire even more than before. 3 wounds, as they should be, 6-up leadership, and objective controlled 1. They're elite infantry, so they're not supposed to be holding objectives, so they only have OC 1. Now, the assault cannon we have seen already. The cyclone missile launcher looks pretty good too. I like the crack profile with 2 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 9, -2, D6 damage. D6 is a little wonky and can be tough, but when you're dealing with like 2 wound Astartes or 3 wound Terminators, still a pretty good profile to have. Most of the time, you're going to be killing single models, so I like that a lot. Heavy Flamer ignores cover and torrent. Auto hit string 5 -1. I like that a lot. You do not get your cover save against this weapon. And I love that they're going back to the 7th edition. Flamers ignore cover. Because guess what? You're going to get flamed. And there's no ducking behind the flames. All right? Next up, we got another data sheet. This is the biggie, guys. This is Robute Gilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines. He has his data sheet. How did they get this all to fit on one data sheet? Like, this is a lot of rules, and let's dig deep into this, guys. We got to talk about a lot of stuff on this. First of all, let's look at his stat line. He moves 8, which is a pretty good move for a Marine. I'm going to skip the next one so I can react to that a little better. 2-up save, as you expect. 10 wounds, so, you know, about where he was before. Leadership 5+, which is even better. And objective control 4. So he does count as 4 models on objective, which is pretty crazy for an elite character like this. I want you to look at that toughness real quick. Look up there. Look, I'll even zoom in for you. Look at that. You see how it says toughness 9? He's toughness 9. He's the toughness of a rhino. He's literally a walking tank. I love it, guys. This feels so good. So we've got a 2-up save and a 4-up invuln. He's got a ranged weapon, which is all right. You know, 2 attacks, a handed dominion at strength 6 -2, 2 damage. A couple melee weapons, which also feel good. So he's got the Emperor's Sword, which is 14 attacks. 14, just saying. Hits on 2s, strength 8 -3, 2 damage. So you're going to be mowing through Marine equivalents a lot. They're going to be saving on 6s. You're going to be wounding most of them on 2s, maybe 3s if they're T5, and 2 damage. Like anything that's like a regular intercessor or anything are just going to melt under this. Like just straight up melt. And then you got the handed dominion. 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 14 -4, 4 damage. That's a lot, guys. Strength 14, like you're literally grabbing chunks off the side of a Land Raider and tossing them to the side. Like, and 4 damage -4, like you might just kill a Land Raider just by punching it with the handed dominion. I like that a lot. So his big ability is Author of the Codex. Basically, your idea is you pick one of these 3 abilities. They're kind of like warlord traits. But you get to pick one of these 3 at the beginning of your each command phase, and it's in effect until your next command phase. Then you can pick another one at your next one. So the first one is Primarch of the 13th. It's an aura. While friendly Adeptus Astartes unit within 6 inches of the model, add one of the objective control characteristics of models in that unit, and you can reroll battle, shock, and leadership tests for that unit. Are you standing on an objective and want it to be yours? Adeptus Astartes have the answer for you. They are really good at holding objectives, and I love that you can literally give them better leadership, not be battle shocked, so they can keep their objective control. And on top of that, you get extra objective control on the objective. So all your guys count as 2 or 3 or whatever, just +1. Feels great. I love this ability when you are just standing on objective, don't really have much else to do, and they're about to come in with a bunch of guys. Well, let's just make everyone count as more. Master the Battle is the second option you have. After you select an enemy using Oath of the Moment ability, select the second enemy unit. Till starting the next command phase, if the first unit selected has been destroyed, each time a friendly Adeptus Astartes model makes an attack that targets the second enemy unit, you can re-roll the hit roll and you re-roll the wound roll. So basically, you get a second Oath of Moment target, but it only starts counting after the first one is dead. So the one you pick with your actual army ability has to die before you get the second one. But double Oath of Moment, I mean, Robute Gilliman's all about them rerolls. No trouble, my guys. And the last one you can pick is Supreme Strategist. Once per turn, you can target one friendly Adeptus Astartes unit within 12 of this model with the stratagem for 0 CP. You can do so even if another unit from your army has already been targeted with the stratagem this phase. Or let's make a hypothetical situation that I really like. Let's just say there's a stratagem lets you fight on death. What if it costs 2 CP? Well, if you have 2 units in combat after you get charged, you could, after the first unit fights, interrupt with the other unit and get combat in and deal with it. Or let's say hypothetically, you use 2 CP to fight on death for 1 unit, and then Guilliman's like, hey, by the way, you also get to fight on death. Now, you are punching back at the same time as them before they die, and you get to wreck them in combat, on top of the fact that you might even be rerolling everything because of Oath of Moment. I think this is great. Having access to free CP to use stratagems is amazing. I think this guy's going to be great. If he's pointed appropriately, I think you'll see a lot of play. I love this guy. I think he's going to do a lot of good work for Ultramarines. Now, we got a couple stratagems to talk about. Armor Contempt. This is a new Gladius Task Force stratagem. Basically, you target one of your Adeptus Astartes units that is being targeted by attacks and shooting or combat, and they get to basically reduce the AP by 1. This only costs 1 CP, so it's very nice, and this is something you could do double with Guilliman. So getting Armor Contempt back on your dudes is very nice. We saw how powerful that was when it was in 9th edition, and it was just an army rule that a Marines had. As a Tau player, I had a real hard time when they took away my AP for Monka, and then they gave Marines Armor Contempt, and all of a sudden I was an extra -2 AP against them. Like, it hurt a lot. So having this on the fly to be like, oh, you're -1 AP, let's make it -0. And, oh, by the way, I'm in cover, so now I have a 2-up. Good luck. It feels bad, man. It's going to be a good stratagem. I can't wait to see this being used on the fly. It's going to hurt a lot of armies that are like AP1, AP2. So the other one is only in Death Does Duty End, which is the stratagem I talked about before, which is Fight on Death. So basically you get to pick a unit, and when models are destroyed in that unit, they get to fight before they're removed from play. It feels great to have access to this for every unit in Marines. This just says Adeptus Astartes. Like, all of them get access to this. So it's not just characters, it's not just infantry, it's everything. Your Dreadnought about to die? Let's go ahead and fight one more time before we die. I think that sounds like a fun plan. How do you like it? Do you agree with this? It's going to be a good time. So that'll be it for me today, guys. I loved looking over how the Adeptus Astartes are going to be playing. I might even dust off my White Scars to play some when this comes out, because I'm feeling good about Marines. We will be back tomorrow with a Tyranid overview, and then the next day we'll be back with some Chaos Space Marines. Both armies I have personally in my collection, so I'm very excited to talk about both of them coming up. Thank you for coming out, and I'll see you guys next time.